evening and welcome to the late news. I am Afriyie. Let's have a look at the top stories. Mahama's government is corrupt. Acting NPP chairman Freddie Blay charges. Member of Parliament for Suleiman demands investigations into Anas Aremeyao Anas and Martin Amidu. Inflation rate for October 2015 pegged at 17.4%, same as rate recorded in September. I'll tell you why. Poultry farmers across the country allay fears of shortage of poultry products. This Christmas due to bird flu outbreak. In the details of the news tonight, acting chairman of the New Patriotic Party, Freddie Blay, has accused President Mahama of being friendly to corruption. He said this in relation to stated cases of corruption he claims has been recorded under the Mahama-led government, including the DVLA corruption expose.
The New Patriotic Party has waded into the latest corruption scandal at the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority, in which a $3.6 million project was bloated to become $9.9 million. In 2006, the DVLA contracted Foto through a competitive tender to carry out a project ending in 2012. The contract was extended at a cost of $3.6 million. The Attorney General raised red flags about the inflation of the contract to a whopping $9.9 million without due recourse to Public Procurement Act 663. The acting chairman of the NPP, Freddie Blay, on the back of these issues, has taken a swipe at the presidency, saying it is too friendly to corruption.
Unlike the original contract under the NPP government and typical of this present government, the NDC, this new contract, that's the renewed contract, was awarded through sole sourcing without any competitive tender. The contract was further inflated by nearly 300%. Unfortunately, President John Mahama has shown to be extremely soft on corruption.
The NPP is calling on President Mahama to open investigations into the case and prosecute any persons culpable.
We are skeptical about the 2016 budget. We fear a playback of 2012, where sole source of government contracts were the order of the day. Cost of contracts inflated, all under a deadly culture of create, loot, and share. Let the president show that corrupt officials will be punished by tackling the cases before him now. And let him do so before we enter election year 2016.
The NPP intends to closely examine the content of the 2016 budget on Friday and will look out for inflation figures, among others.
Well, and in our next story dubbed Edward Mahama Submits Forms, aspiring presidential candidate of the People's National Convention PNC, Dr. Edward Mahama, is appealing to delegates of the PNC to vote massively for him when the party goes for Congress. Dr. Mahama, who submitted his forms on Wednesday, says it is only under his leadership that the party can snatch power from the ruling NDC.
Delegates from the People's National Convention would from the 27th to the 29th of November converge at Wa in the Upper West region to elect over 9 national executive officers to lead the party into the 2016 elections. Even before the delegates go to the polls, there is fierce battle for the flag bearership position, which is being contested by 3 known faces in the party. On Wednesday, four-time flag bearer of the party, Edward Mahama, who is hoping to lead the party into yet another election, submitted his forms together with a filing fee of 10,000 cedis. He was accompanied by some party supporters and well-wishers.
It is my hope that the many problem-solving policies we will be bringing out in the fullness of time as we approach 2016 will give Ghanaians no reason not to have Dr. Edward Nasir Mahama as their next president.
He appealed to delegates to vote massively for him.
I am doing this sacrificially and at a great personal inconvenience. Therefore, in reciprocity, I expect that at the World National Delegates Congress, you will give me an overwhelming endorsement.
Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the PNC, Balasalu Meikankan, appealed to all aspirants to conduct their campaigns in a civil manner.
And those who are going around, they should be much more mindful of their voices. It's the words that it comes out from their mouth, because we are one. DPP and NDC should stay off PNC, because if they allow PNC alone to do its own thing, we will also go beyond that.
And now, general secretaries of political parties are demanding the roadmap towards the 2016 general elections from the Electoral Commission. They also made a number of recommendations that will ensure the exercise is free, fair, and peaceful after an IEA-sponsored meeting last week. Here is a brief desk report.
Parties that discussed the issue included the NDC, NPP, the CPP, and the PNC. The platform was provided by the Institute of Economic Affairs to offer stakeholders the opportunity to discuss key issues that border preparations and credibility of the next general elections. The party general secretaries meet every month under the IAA Ghana Political Parties program to find solutions to and deliberate on pertinent national issues. At their last meeting last week, a key issue of concern to them that it raised is the purported management of the EC database by STL Company. They made key recommendations for safeguarding the interests of the nation before, during and after the elections. These are that the EC must be proactive and act with urgency in view of the closeness of the 2016 elections and publish a clear timetable of activities leading up to the elections. They should include plans for implementation of the recommendations submitted by the Electoral Reform Committee. Members called on the EC to publicly clarify the nature of its relationship with STL and clearly spell out the role STL will play in Ghana's 2016 elections. It noted, however, that there is wide consensus that the voters' register contains illegal entries and the EC must work with stakeholders to ensure the register for 2016 is credible and acceptable. The platform called on politicians to eschew pronouncements which tend to undermine the peace and cohesion of the country. In particular, they cautioned against reckless threats to Ghana's peace and security as a way of getting the EC to meet their demands regarding the voters' register. On security, the general secretaries of the political parties expressed concern about the over-politicization of Ghana's security agencies. It called on them to act with professionalism and neutrality. It also demanded firm response to politically motivated crimes and ensure full prosecutions to serve as a deterrent. Finally, it condemned the practice where the media pitch one political party against the other and thereby incite the public. NDC was represented by its General Secretary Johnson Asiedu Nketia, NPP Kwabena Japon, Niama Komfra of the Convention People's Party, and Bernard Mona, who is also the General Secretary of the People's National Convention.
And now, the Member of Parliament for Esojaman says Ghanaians should not be quick to dismiss the claims made by former Attorney General Martin Amidu, alleging that Tiger IPI and Anas, Arimeya Anas, received support in its judicial corruption expose. According to Kofi Osayameyao, the situation, if true, raises affronts to the principles of separation of powers.
Institutional arrangements is based on the doctrine of separation of powers, that each arm of government is independent of each other so that we can have the checks and balances, so that one cannot have powers over and above the other. Now, if indeed what Martin Amidu is saying happened, then it would appear that the executive arm of government wants to arrogate to itself more powers than the Constitution gives them. When they say we have so many ways of killing a cat or skinning a cat, right? What does that mean? It means that if the judges will not do what we ask them to do, we would tell them what to do. And so if we have we have this corruption allegation and expose. And it is all, we don't even know the extent. It is all has not come out. So some are being hidden. So is that to say to the judges that if you don't behave in a certain manner, then we would expose you? It is important that we investigate what happened at that time and let us discredit Martin Amidu through that investigation. But you people just seem to want to dismiss it outright without any due process. Why? Would there be any?
Let's move on now. An aspiring member of parliament for the Tamale Central constituency, Engineer Ibrahim Saidu, is appealing to delegates of the party in the constituency to vote massively for him when the party goes to Congress on the 21st of November. According to Ibrahim Saidu, he would work hard to revive the dwindling fortunes of the party if he is given the nod.
If you look at NDC party, for instance, Tamale Central is a constituency for the NDC. And if you look at the constituents, the beneficiaries, the supporters of NDC, you find that very little of them are benefiting from the fact that NDC is in government. And I feel that our current MP has done his best, but the best is not enough. So I think that he's tired now, and then we need more energetic people to come on board, to take over from him and continue what he has done, and maybe in a better way. There has been a loss of hope within the people, and sometimes you find some of the constituents saying, "Look, this time we're not going to vote. We don't want to vote for MPP, but we shall not vote because our party itself is not doing what we expect them to do." So you see that the motto of our campaign is bringing back hope, because the hope has been lost, and then we are bringing back the hope. And
the Ghana Water Company has begun spilling excess water in the Wager Dam. The exercise started a short while ago, actually this morning, and the company is alerting those living downstream, especially at Tetegu, Oblogo, Pambro Salt, Adakope, and nearby communities to relocate.
In a statement, the company has warned the opening of the spillway gates may cause massive flooding along the lower course of the Dainsu River. Communities that are likely to be affected include Tetegu, Oblogo, Pambro Salt, Lower McCarthy Hill, Wager, Bojo Beach, Adakope and other surrounding communities. The company says it is working with municipal and district assemblies, the National Disaster Mobilization Organization (NADMO) and National Security to educate the general public on the essence of evacuating such communities to forestall any form of eventuality.
NADMO is aware, National Security is aware, the municipal assembly is also aware. So it is their duty to do those things. It is also their duty to make sure that all those who live in such unauthorized areas should be evacuated, and it is for them to do. So we have informed them to do that. For us, it is not within our merit. Whatever we have to do, we have done so. We have to spill to get to an appreciable level which is manageable by us, so that if that happens, then that's okay. It could take 3 months, it could take 2 months, it could even be less. You can attach specific timelines to it. So we'll entreat that everybody evacuates the area.
The release also said the Ghana Water Company has put in place various measures such as dredging of some of the estuaries and tributaries to enable good flow of the excess water. It says these measures notwithstanding cannot guarantee the safety of people living in the flood zones.
Now, veterans and ex-servicemen who fought in the 2 world wars have accused government for neglecting them. During a short ceremony to mark the 70th Remembrance Day service at the Christiansburg War Ceremony in Accra, the veterans demanded from government to adequately attend to their needs.
The solemn ceremony was attended by active and retired servicemen, traditional rulers, and political leaders. Troops marched, and 2-minute silence was observed in honor of the veterans. This was soon followed by a parade by the ex-servicemen. Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur laid wreath on behalf of government and people of Ghana. Zimbabwean ambassador to Ghana laid one for the diplomatic corps. British High Commissioner for the Commonwealth and allied countries, and Yosu Manche for traditional rulers. Though the veterans were grateful their efforts are acknowledged, they are not happy about how government is treating them.
We came back and Kwame Nkrumah take up as a president. From there, they didn't look at us, they didn't make anything for us. Just say we are doing just like that. When there's a year, they say we'll come and make the parade. Remember, they do this. When we do it, then we finish, we'll go home. Nothing.
Now government, make us happy. We soldiers, now all soldiers, make us happy. On the 28th February like this, because of 1 shilling, then kill some of our people. We want government to give that money shop before we die. I guess 93 years now. 93, I'm not a small picking.
They also want government to institute proper plan for their families.
Well, let's hear what Parliament also had to say about the Veterans Day today. And Member of Parliament for Tamale South, Haruna Idrisu, is advocating the setting up of a memorial for ex-servicemen who fought in the 2 world wars. As Ghana joined the rest of the world to mark this year's Veterans Day, he is advocating that the day must not be allowed to pass without changing the fortunes of veterans who continue to live in abject poverty despite the tremendous contribution they have made to this country.
Parliament on Wednesday joined the rest of the world to commemorate Remembrance Day. The day is set aside to remember the veterans who died during the world wars. Over the years, it has been expanded to celebrate all servicemen and women who have died in the line of duty. A statement was made on the floor of the House by Fritz Bafo, MP for Ablekuma South.
In Ghana, at the present, the Association of Veterans, which before our independence in 1957 was known as the Gold Coast Legion, or the Ex-Servicemen Association, has been transformed into the Veterans Association of Ghana, VAG.
This was supported by Major Retired Derek Odru. For him, the day must be used to improve on the lot of the many ex-military men who today live in the shadows because of neglect.
We are not only celebrating the foreign heroes of the 2 world wars, celebrating the gallant soldiers of Ghana today who have participated in various peacekeeping operations and continue to participate. Some of them have lost their lives.
The most significant contributions of the day probably came from the MPs for Tamale South and Sekondi.
What is our commitment to the tenants that for at all times we would endeavor as a country to honor those who have sacrificed to contribute to the existence of the state Ghana, in order that we can let them feel proud before their death.
Remind ourselves that tolerance is the key for making this nation work. Let us tolerate one another's views, and let us bear in mind that force can never achieve our objectives.
The House was unanimous in its call for this year's Remembrance Day to translate into an improvement in the lives of Ghana's ex-servicemen.
Away from that now, registered and midwives are asking government to adequately resource them with health facilities to ease the pressure on them. President of their association, Kwaku Asante-Krobia, shared some of their frustrations in the following report by Humu Gaji.
Nurses and midwives form a greater percentage, about 68% of the public sector health workers. Their contribution is key to senior medical practitioners and doctors across all levels from the OPD to the consulting room, theatre and wards. According to the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, the current nurse-patient ratio stands at 1 to 22, while the nurse population ratio is 1 to 750 figures, it described as complete mismatch. President of the association, Kwaku Asante-Krobia, raised other issues at their 15th Biennial National Delegates Congress.
Sufficient and adequately trained and motivated nurses and midwives are essential for the health of the world's populations. Yet, there continues to be underinvestment in nursing. We cannot perform any magic in giving our clientele the much expected quality as our contribution to total healthcare delivery unless the government, our paymasters, stakeholders, and all team players act in a positive manner.
Health Minister Alex Sebefe reiterated government's commitment to provide additional infrastructure to improve service delivery in the sector.
We will endeavor to ensure that no health worker suffers unduly simply because he or she is sacrificing to take care of people in deprived areas. The cost of ensuring that we absorb every health professional we train is such that we need to employ serious management strategies in order not to collapse the system. Ministry of Health will need your experience, support, and understanding in taking policy decisions that affect nurses and midwives.
Now, the African Health Market for Equity program has been launched in Accra. The purpose of the program is to increase utilization of essential outpatient services through demand-side financing in 10 demonstration districts. Part of the objective is to improve identification of the poor using electronic means test systems.
Africa Health Markets for Equity, AHME, is funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and the UK Department for International Development. It aims at increasing coverage of quality healthcare within the private and public provider system and address priority issues that most affect the poor in Nigeria, Kenya, and Ghana. The 5-year program in Ghana is being implemented by a consortium of partners with complementary expertise. The International Finance Corporation, World Bank Health in Africa Initiative, Maristopes International, and Farm Access Foundation. The Ghana project is aimed at effective identification of indigents for social protection programs. At the end of the project, Africa Health Markets for Equity expects to have added 150,000 households, 900,000 persons, and 70,000 extreme poor onto the national household data by 2016.
These items and equipment that was presented to us on behalf of the government of Ghana will help us to reach the remotest parts of Ghana, the rural areas, and very importantly, the poorest of the poor, so that we can register them on national health insurance, on LEAP, and our other social protection interventions.
The minister identified targeting appropriate beneficiaries for any social protection interventions as the core of that program.
So far, together with National Health Insurance, they have been able to register over 6,000 prisoners in Koforidua in Sawam, Central Prisons, Kumasi, Ankaful in Cape Coast, and will be going to secondary prisons. We are giving them National Health Insurance cards free of charge, so that the prisoners can also, even while in custody and out of prisons, access quality health care.
According to the minister, the Social Democratic government, led by President John Dramani Mahama, believes that it is the duty of the government to pull the marginalized, disadvantaged, and the poor into the mainstream of the socio-economic order.
Time now to move into the world of business. Inflation rate for October 2015 stood at 17.4%, same as the rate recorded in September 2015. Head of Economic Statistics attributed the stability of the current inflation rate to food inflation.
The inflation rate for October 2015, 17.4%, same as that of September 2015, is the percentage change in consumer price index over the 12-month period compared from October 2014 to October 2015. The monthly change rate in October 2015 was 2.7%, while that for September same year was negative 0.1%. The year-on-year non-food rates for October 2015 was 23.0%, compared with the 23.2% recorded in September 2015, which was about 3 times higher than the food inflation. Food inflation rate for October 2015 was 7.8%, same as the rate recorded for September 2015. Head of Economic Statistics, Edward Esio Afram, explains why the inflation rate for October is same as the previous month.
It's mainly the food inflation, because
the food inflation remained the same. You see, the food inflation also remained the same at 7.8%. After the non-food, it fell down small, but the value that it fell down wasn't enough. Wasn't enough to cause any change in the rate.
Inflation rate for imported items, 18.8%, for October 2015 was 1.7 percentage points, higher than that of locally produced items, 16.9%.
The main price drivers for the food inflation were vegetables, 13.6%, minerals, water, soft drink, fruits, and fruit juices, and vegetable juices, 8.5%.
The Upper West region recorded the highest year-on-year inflation rate of 18.6%, while the Upper East region recorded the lowest, 13.0%.
Some poultry farmers say despite the outbreak of the avian influenza, also known as the bird flu in some parts of the country, they will still be able to meet the demands of consumers during this impending Christmas season. My colleague Humugaji spoke to one of the affected farmers in Accra, who says government's recent compensation has helped them to stay in business despite the difficulties.
These chicks are just few days old. They look very cheerful and active. They are happy to see us because they expect meals readily served to keep them strong. But this will last the next few weeks because they are meant for Christmas, and you and I will find their pieces on our plates. But the bigger picture is the fear of losses. Poultry farmers have endured challenges over the last 3 months after the first case of avian flu known as bird flu was confirmed. Those in Accra are not to move birds and poultry products. Other affected regions are Ashanti, Volta, Western, Central and Bongahafo. Available statistics indicate over 23,987 birds have died, more than 40,000 killed, about 1,000 crates of eggs, and 37 bags of feed destroyed. This farm at Tema sits on a 10-acre land. More than 15,000 birds have been destroyed, according to Major General retired Edwin Sam, who has invested his sweat after serving the military in this project.
We have been off production for the past 6 months because of the flu. We were hit hard. We are trying to go back to where we were, and we've started with 6,000 broilers, and we have some layers which we are using to try and meet the gap.
He outlined measures being put in place to ensure the over 80,000 chicks being raised are safe.
Properly organized, we can produce every chicken and every egg for this country. These white birds that follow cattle around, you see them sometimes around the farm, and in the past we never used to drive them away. Now we'll have to find plans to drive them away, because that is the most likely. And then of course, like you see today, we've restricted you from moving everywhere, and we are refusing to make sales within the compound.
He tells Metro News about 15,000 fresh day-old chicks will soon be added. He hopes to raise 40,000 layers for the Christmas festivities. With or without the ban on the movement on poultry and poultry products, local birds still remain the best and safer to consume. From the Delaware farms here in Tema, Humugaji for Metro News.
On the international front, a judge has sentenced 8 former South African policemen to 15 years in prison for murder of Mozambican taxi driver.
Mido Marshia was killed in 2013 when officers tied him to the back of a police van by his arms before driving off. He was found in a pool of blood in police custody. The judge called the killing barbaric but acknowledged that it was premeditated. The continuous conduct of the accused concerning the injuries on the deceased was barbaric and totally inexplicable, said the judge. The sentencing of these officers sends a message that police brutality will not be tolerated by the judiciary following several recent cases. A lawyer for the former officers said they would appeal against the murder conviction.
My name is Kwesi Afriyie. Thank you very much for watching. And from the entire crew here at Metro TV, we say good night.